Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Locker Room Podcast, where we feature all of the student athletes from the Bayou region. I'm Stan Gravois. He is Dustin Robichaud. I'll get back to Dustin in just a little while, but I do want to give you the lineup for today's show. We are fortunate to talk to the only undefeated head football coach here in our Bayou region. That is Brian Wallace, the head football coach of Vandebilt Catholic. He was good enough to sit with me this morning and talk a little bit about his Terriers and what it's going to take to win out for the rest of this year. Because the fact is, related to volleyball and football, we know who's going to be in the playoffs. There are a couple of teams that are right on the bubble, but for the most part, we know. So we'll get to those guys a little bit later. Today is October 28th, so it is Tuesday morning. We're sort of a day late. A lot of that comes because we were out. When I say we, Terrebonne General Health Systems was out helping H.L. Bourgeois yesterday at Ellendale. They had their big fundraising golf tournament. And as you all know, these high schools cannot make it financially on just gate receipts and things like that. They always have to have these amendments to their budgets. And one of those is you have a fundraiser, and H.L. Bourgeois does it over at Ellendale. And we were happy to be there supplying a jambalaya for that particular tournament. And it seems like everything went well. So, and we hope it did. Obviously, we do hope it did. Again, I did mention it's October 28th. So Dustin's going to tell us exactly what today is in the bigger scope.
In the grand scheme of things, Stan, it is National Chocolate Day.
Chocolate Day.
Yes. So I was curious, what's your favorite chocolatey treat?
I am not a chocolate person at all. If I eat chocolate, it has to be like M&Ms, like almond M&Ms.
Okay.
You know, peanut M&Ms, like candy-coated chocolate.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So you like to coat your chocolate with candy?
That's right. If I go to a birthday party for either a grandchild or whatever, and it's a German chocolate cake, won't eat it.
Nope.
But if they have a bowl of peanut M&Ms there, I'm going to delve into it just a little bit.
So yeah, no chocolate cake for Stan.
Not a big chocolate.
I'm similar.
Thank God I'm not a big chocolate.
Yeah, I'm similar. Even when I was a kid, I guess because my parents didn't give me a lot of candy or chocolatey things, so it was a treat. Birthday cakes, you get chocolate icing.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah, chocolate ice cream is not much with me.
Yeah, I used to like Rocky Road. That was my ice cream.
Is that right?
Back in the day.
Neapolitan. I would
Okay.
take that and mix up the chocolate. Chocolate Day. That's interesting.
It's it.
Keep on coming up with these days. Sure, I did hear coming into work this morning, I listened to radio, and I'll just share. I listened to Jacob Hester and Matt Flynn from a sports perspective, but this morning they were sort of freaking out. I guess that's a good old word to use, or a phrase to use, about there being a new moon for the earth, which I'll have to go look into more, but evidently scientists have said there's a new moon that rotates around the earth. So we'll go look into that.
Interesting.
Well, we'll know more next Monday. I'm sure you'll let us know more on that. Nonetheless, I mentioned that I had the opportunity of talking to Brian Wallace a little bit earlier. Let's listen to what he had to say about his Terriers. Coach, first, let's start with assumption. We knew they were sort of talented and they had some kids who can play. How do you feel you performed in that game?
I was pleased with our performance. I thought it was a complete team win, offense, defense, special teams. I thought all three phases of the game executed well against a very athletic Assumption and well-coached team. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Coach Broussard and his staff. Those kids play the game really hard. The effort they have is phenomenal, and they're very athletic. So very fortunate. We came out with a win, and I thought our kids, I thought the Terriers performed well.
Interestingly enough, and this is sort of a twofold question, but sort of the same question. You're undefeated, man, and you're dealing with 17 and 16 and 15-year-old kids. And you have to keep them motivated every week, make them understand what the ultimate goal is. You play South Terrebonne, who on paper it looks like you're better than South Terrebonne, but you play them on Halloween night. So you have that to deal with too.
Right.
Talk about that challenge of keeping the kids' head in the game, so to speak.
And that is a challenge week to week. That's the biggest part, like kind of where we're at right now. And I think that our staff has done a phenomenal job into having a unified message. And we have to play to our brand, to our standard. And we have a sign in our locker room. It's, every week it has our opponent, but the opponent's Vandebilt Catholic. We talk about taking the terrors off the schedule. Like, we're still committing penalties. We're still missing tackles. We're still missing assignments. So there's things on our end that we have to do to execute better, no matter who the opponent is. And that's just the message every week. And it's our job to reach our players, because like you said, they are kids, to get our message across. And a testament, and I tip my hat to the team, I tell them, is we've done a really good job of focusing every day, week in and week out, on getting better and not listening to the outside noise and what people are telling us. And, I have to be the bad guy a lot of the time because I have to burst everybody's bubble. But that's part of the job, you know what I mean? But part of it is so they hear from me. It's not always a negative message or trying to always keep us locked in. You got to give praise when praise is due. So that's kind of been the uniqueness of this year, is just trying to find, toe the line, so to say, is, hey, getting our guys focused enough to play, but not also beating them down so much to where, but keeping them hungry. It's been fun, but it's been a challenge.
So it's week 8, on the books. You only have 2 games left. If I asked you what was the biggest surprise after 8 weeks, or even if there is a surprise, what might that be?
That's a great question. You stumped me on that one a little bit, because we prepared to be, when we set out in January for this season, we prepared to be at this point. Everybody did in the state of Louisiana. Everybody does in the country. I think it's just year 2 in our program, we lost 19 seniors, and obviously the continuity of the staff was huge. But I think just the ability for our team to come together, I think our football knowledge, our cohesiveness, not a surprise, but just I think where we at, how tight knit we are as a team. People throw the term around culture, is very pleasing to see. And I think that the guys have really bought in, and they've really excelled with that.
It's sort of another tough question, not necessarily for you to answer, but you're 8-0. I mean, so like what you mentioned, some of those things to sort of clean up anything that's glaring to you that, these last 2 weeks, this is sort of what we're focusing on.
Yeah, I think that, we continue to preach the fundamentals, in terms of alignment, assignment on the defensive side. It's going to be about tackling. I think we have to get better at tackling in space. That's something that has showed up the past couple weeks is our tackling in space. And then the yards after contact is being able to get some more strain and physical tackles. And then on the offensive side is just going to be continuing ball security, continuing to preach those fundamental details every week. That sometimes they can get lost in the mix through when you're 8-0 or whatever it is. But we try to coach harder after a win than maybe after a loss, because everyone wants to say, hey, we won the game, everything's great, and all that. That's not always the case. I always say, hey, those things get swept under the rug, but at some point, that spot on the rug is going to get stepped on, and it's just going to create a huge mess. So we try to nip that in the bud every week. The kids have responded well because they know where we're coming from with that. But just sticking to those details and fundamentals that sometimes late in the season can get lost, that we just continue to try to preach every day.
Very good. Very good. Listen, you're always very gracious with your time. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today. Best of luck this Halloween with South Terrebonne and the rest of the way.
Thank you, Stan. Greatly appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
Take care. As I just mentioned, always nice to talk to Brian Wallace, and he is so accommodating as the Vandebilt Terriers take on South Terrebonne this weekend, Halloween night. As a matter of fact, it is Hall of Fame night for South Terrebonne. They will be inducting 6 prior athletic greats into their Hall of Fame. We talked about PowerPoint, so let's get to it. In volleyball, we know who's going in. Again, on Monday, the official brackets are going to come out, but we can tell you that in Division I, Terrebonne High School is going to be in. They're sitting at number 24 right now. They will not drop out of the top 32. Unfortunately, HL Bourgeois Central Lafourche And who am I missing? Thibodeau High School will not be in the playoffs in Division I this year. In Division II, we're certainly going to have a lot of teams in there this year. It all starts off with South Lafourche. South Lafourche is going to go in somewhere around 6, maybe 5 when it's all said and done. Remember, a lot of these volleyball teams have one match left this week, and then they wait to see where they're going to be seated. Assumption's going to go in. They're sitting at number 11 right now. South Terrebonne will go in. They're at number 22. Allender is on the bubble. They're at number 32. So they need to get a win today in their match, or they could drop out. But I have a feeling they're going to stay inside of that 32. Let's move on to Division III. And remember, folks, there is no select and non-select with volleyball. Everybody plays in the same pool, pardon the expression. There is no division between private and public. Everybody plays together. In Division III, 2 schools locally that are usually traditionally very good are going to be in. E.D. White sitting at number 6. Vandebilt is sitting at number 8. Although Vandebilt dipped below 500 with their record this year, overall record, they still played a very tough schedule. So they'll be in. Both of those teams will be at home when they start the playoffs next week. In Division IV, Homer Christian going to be in. They're sitting at number 14. The only question with them is whether they're going to be at home to start the playoffs or will they be on the road. Let's move on to Division V. In Division V, both Central Catholic out of Morgan City and Covenant Christian are going to be in. As a matter of fact, both of those teams are going to play a home match in the first round. So we have a lot of our local schools who are going to be in that number when it comes to volleyball playoffs. Monday's the big day. Next Monday is the day that the Louisiana High School Athletic Association puts out the bracket, and when we get that information, we'll certainly pass it on to you. Let's talk football a little bit. 2 more weeks left in football. Of course, we're in week 9. You have week 10 next week, but I think we can tell you who's going to be in the playoffs. I know these teams want to win their district titles and things like that, but the big picture is getting into the playoffs. So first, let's talk about Division I non-select. So this is Division I public schools, right? The big public schools. You have Terrebonne, who's at number 5. They're going to be at home in the first round, because they have a chance to actually make up a lot of PowerPoint rankings and maybe get into the top 4 when it's all said and done. Thibodeau is going to be in. They're sitting at number 14. The question with Thibodeau is whether they'll be at home or away, because in this particular bracket, only 28 make the bracket, right? So you don't have the full 32. You only have 28. Thibodeau at number 14. South Lafourche at number 21. Remember, South Lafourche plays up into the Division I bracket. They'll be in. H.L. Bourgeois has a chance. They're on the outside looking in right now. If they could get 1 win in their final 2 games, which is going to be really tough for that team, but if they could get 1 win in the final 2, they have a chance to get in the bracket. Central Lafourche on the outside looking in. I don't think there's any way Central Lafourche gets in. Let's talk about Division II non-select. So this is Division II public schools, right? Our pretty big public schools. Easily in is Lutcher. Lutcher will go in at number 11 and probably host a first-round game. South Terrebonne is sitting at 18. The top 28 make it in non-select. South Terrebonne has to hold on for dear life. They can't drop out of the top 28, and unfortunately, they will not be the favorite in the last 2 games of the year, so we'll see how that turns out for them. They win one of those 2, I think they assure themselves a spot. In Division II Select, so now we'll call this the Division II private schools, right? You have Vandebilt at number 5, E.D. White at number 9. Both of them are in. The big thing with those schools is they are going to play each other in week 10. And something's got to give in week 10, right? That'll be really interesting. Unfortunately, in Division III Select, Homer Christian is way out. As a matter of fact, Homer Christian is the second to last seeded team. So it doesn't look like the Warriors are going to be in the playoffs this year. And finally, in Division IV Select football, we're going to have 2 local teams. I think Central Catholic is going to get in, although they're sitting around 23, 22. I think they have a schedule that's favorable. 24 get in the select bracket. So I know it's very confusing. So here we go. 32 get in for volleyball, right? All of volleyball. For the public schools in football, 28 get in. For the private schools in football, 24 get in. So I hope everybody could sort of understand that. That being the case, Central Catholic, I think, will be in, and the team that's really going to be in easily is Covenant Christian. As a matter of fact, they'll probably host a first-round game over there at Nichols this year. So that's sort of a look at who's going to be in and who is going to be out. A few teams still on the bubble. Next week will tell the story. Volleyball seedings and pairings come out on Monday. Football, one more week to go, and then that Sunday afternoon, they're going to let us know who is in and who is out. Football still obviously has to go through week 10, and then on that Sunday afternoon is when they announce all of the teams that are officially in the bracket. We'll make sure to get that to you. Dustin, I hope you have a wonderful remainder of National Chocolate Day today.
I will.
Did I term it right?
You did. National Chocolate Day.
National Chocolate Day. I hope everybody has a great National Chocolate Day today. We're going to be back on Monday. No fundraisers. Terrebonne General not involved with any fundraisers on Monday. So our next episode will be then. It'll be week 10 of high school football, and we'll sort of get the gist of who's going to be in the playoffs for volleyball. Hope you have a wonderful week. Take care, everybody.